Karmic seeds are the cause. And so we got an impure body and the initial verse. Contemplate the body as impure and suffering. The karmic seeds of afflictions are the cause. Our parents' unclean actions are the conditions. These all come together, resulting in a physical body. So a physical body comes from parents' unclean actions. The human body has 9 orifices, 7 in the face, 2 in the bottom. Those who have these thoughts are wise and respond by distancing themselves from dozenness defilement. So the key, the first part I think it's very clear. That it's the last line that is where the teaching is. Those who have these thoughts are wise and respond by distancing themselves from the dust and defilement. I think Sister Irene, I heard from me before, and I say that you look at this and you will understand why I say our body is like the mud in a lotus pond. Okay. So Master's explanation, contemplate on the fourfold mindfulness. Body is impure, feelings are suffering, mind is impermanent, all things are being without self, which is the phenomena. But the phenomenon is without self. So you understand this, then obviously you understand all these things, especially the last one. You understand the Heart Sutra, which is about the emptiness of form and the emptiness of 5 skandhas. If we can thoroughly understand these principles, we will have no more afflictions. It has to be because we would understand, we will not be afflicted by any conditions. So essentially, when this understand that, you will bring the cyclic existence, right? Because the cyclic existence, if you remember, you have all the 6 roots in contact with the 5 skandhas, and that arises the karmic actions that we do. So, which is what we are trying to practice. We're trying to practice in a way that we want to grow away, or rather be in stillness of the conditions that we face. So from a conditioned practice to unconditional practice. And that's what we are trying to graduate towards, and that's what my master is trying to tell us. So otherwise we'll be afflicted and cling to our sense of self. The sense of self is because of our 6 roots, but 6 roots to cling on to the self. And unless we are able to grow distant from that all the 6 consciousnesses, of keep that in stillness is hard. Otherwise, to be in practice diligently. So the greatest liability in life comes from having this body, but because of the impure body, originally born from an unclean action. But if you understand that, that's why the Lotus Sutra, the metaphor of the lotus, is about what it is. So if that is indeed impure, like the mud in the lotus pond, how then we grow the blossom, the lotus, from the mud of samsara in which our body is in. The fact that we are in samsara, we already are impure, we are unenlightened. So having this human body, most people experience lust, right? This kind of desire, attraction between man and woman, etc. In fact, I was taught that of all the desires, the last one really difficult to overcome is actually lusts. So but that's why this is the one that has a lot of downfall for a lot of practitioners. The lotus flower is a metaphor of the true dharma of one vehicle. Its fragrance is sweet and clean and it's pure. And so, which is what basically I've just explained. So although our bodies are impure, we can still live the wisdom life like that of a lotus. So therefore, if you understand, how can we grow from the mud into the lotus? So if you then look at it, even the mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum, okay, Om is to take the sound, this sound of purification, and that's what this whole practice is about. Mani is the jewel that we take of the Dharma. And Padme is the lotus, and lotus is how we blossom from the jewel of the Dharma. And home is accomplishment. So, which is what this learning is from this particular line. Those who have deep attachment to their view of self escalates their anger and rage, but because of the skandhas, isn't it? And the 6 roots. So those who have attached to the view of self will suffer from having an inferior appearance because of the what you call that, the mindset that one has, because one has to come out and hold themselves up, and they want to have, because of the inferiority within themselves, they have to hang on so hardly on the view of self, which is the ego. So the lessons learned, we must have compassion for sentient beings. So that these causes and conditions, this kind of opportunity, we must make an effort to accept the Dharma so that we can grow from the mud. So we listen to Dharma every day. If we thoroughly understand it and make good use of this body, which is referring to what I said earlier, and you understand what this body can do, this is the vessel of practice. It may be impure, but it's from impurity to purity. And this is what the Lotus Sutra is about. To accept the Buddha's teaching, accept the great vehicle Dharma and benefit of self and others, which is the Mahayana path, transform ourselves and others, then we resonate with this kind of wisdom. So this wisdom life we are supposed to be living is to live the wisdom life so that we can gather the wisdom as a result. So gathering the wisdom is to learn, first of all, we live a mundane life, and that's why we are in samsara, we live a mundane life, but how can we then grow out from mundane life, from mundane consciousness, to worldly wisdom, to spiritual wisdom? And that is the growth, powerful growth and learning that we're undertaking. So in contemplation, a very short contemplation today, spend this life in grounding the virtues of the path through your heart. So grounding the virtues in the path through your heart is the heart, as you all know that I explained to you all, and Tzu Chi, we are very strong in this, grounding the virtues and path to your heart. But what is important is, so then what can we do then after with those virtues and how is to live the wisdom life, to grow in the wisdom of the mind. And that's where we need to open our heart to teach the mind, tame the mind, and then to learn wisdom. Then the human life ought to believe in humanity. And from we just stop that humanity, but humanity then grow in spirituality, from spirituality, and then we can evolve from that. But unless we learn this basic grounding, it's hard then to progress. So therefore, once we live in, and this is, if you look at this, it is exactly what Tzu Chi is doing right now. And that's why teaching about humanistic values from a young age. So in relationship, about harmonizing a relationship, being in harmony is about learning to live life in accord with the balance of things. And most of the time in our life, we try to graduate too much on things, and that's why we are not in harmony. And we either graduate towards too much on one end. Could be work, it could be the family, it could be friends, it could even be spiritual practice, and we don't know where to find that balance is. So therefore, this is why one have to learn about skillful living, especially for us. We're just household and practice. So living skillfully enables you to understand and realize the wisdom applying teachings in our daily life. So you find that even at your friends at work and at socializing, or whether you into the family or learning the spiritual practice, that in itself, it's actually fine to find wisdom behind that. So the fundamental skill is built on foundation of virtues, which is where the main core of the practice is. It's from the virtue that we then apply that. And then you find that if, for example, if virtue is harmonizing, how can we be practicing that when we are not even harmonizing our life? So with the skills of growing in virtues, and mind discerns in the essence of the teachings. So without laying the virtuous foundation, one cannot even begin to understand the wisdom living in harmony is. Okay, Gan En, brother and sister, thank you.
Gan En so much, Brother Ching.
Who yesterday